So, are you managing IT budget strategically or reacting to pressure? Hi, everyone. Patricia Johnson Fung here. I'm kicking off a new series on IT budget and cost transparency. Part one, we're talking about something every technology leader is feeling: IT budget challenges. To go deeper, here's where the series is headed. Part one, again, it's about the current state, the pressure shaping IT decisions. Part two will focus on what good looks like, the desired state of an IT budget management. Part three will get practical. We'll be helping us think about what we can do to get ahead. IT cost rationalization, IT cost transparency, business alignment, the risk based decision discipline, and leadership behaviors that make all of this work. First, let's ground ourselves on the current state. So let's talk about the reality of IT budget management today. IT leaders are being asked to do something oftentimes nearly impossible: absorb unprecedented cost pressure while still delivering transformation, resilience, speed. We're seeing the volatile targets, the shrinking budgets, limited ownership from the business on IT spend, and weak visibility into the values and the outcomes. And then the pressure doesn't just reduce spend, it really kind of shapes the behavior and risk across the entire ecosystem. So, what does budget pressure look like inside IT? In delivery, it shows up as project delays, scope cuts, prioritization driven by cost instead of value. Innovation, gets crowded. It gets the keep the lights on priorities instead, and credibility with the business kind of takes a hit. Security, risk acceptance might get increased. Tools, they get added without rationalization. Coverage gaps, they emerge. In software and SaaS, license, they might grow. Auto renewals, they might slip through. Consolidation might become impossible because of contract timing. In terms of employee experience, it suffers. Slower onboarding, deferred refresh cycles, and IT being seen as a blocker instead of an enabler. And in infrastructure and cloud, the modernization gets delayed. Capacity buffers shrink, and technical debt piles up in the name of savings. Let's talk about the first challenge: budget squeeze and retargeting. Budgets are being reduced with very little notice. There's new cost or headcount targets that show up mid cycle. Decisions are being made sequentially instead of holistically. And then IT, oftentimes, the leaders, they're left to rebalance the labor, the vendors, the investments without very much runway. And this generally can lead to some forced renewals, locked in, cloud commitments, contractor cuts that create delivery gaps, and projects pause mid-flight. So oftentimes increasing the total cost of ownership anyways, not just reducing it. So now let's talk about challenge number two: weak business alignment on IT costs. Many organizations, they see IT as a cost center. Business units don't necessarily have the visibility into their full IT footprint. Often they forget about costs of infrastructure, office setup, conference room setup, laptops, and all that software that just runs day to day their business. They focus on transformation spend, but treating everything run costs that's just fixed. The result, sometimes you see spikes in embedded IT. You may see overlapping tools. You may see unmanaged cloud usage, inconsistent controls, and IT being blamed for experiences driven by the business choices. So if the business doesn't see the cost, they can't help manage it. Finally, let's talk about challenge number three: limited visibility into value and outcomes. This is where the budget conversations, they break down. Investments get approved without clear value ownership. Benefits are defined, probably a little too broadly. Forecasted value isn't really compared to actuals, and accountability, it fades after approval. So this leads to projects measured on delivery, not outcomes. Platforms, being funded without adoption metrics. Automation savings estimated but never actually validated. Risk reduction described qualitatively instead of quantitatively. So again, when value isn't measured, IT investments, they become easy targets even when they're essential. So here's the takeaway for part one. IT cost challenges, they show up differently across the domains. Short-term savings, can create long-term drag, and lack of transparency, it amplifies risk, frustration in the organization. So the real question isn't, hey, where can we cut? But it's, where are we spending without that clarity, alignment, value? And so in part two, we'll define, what great IT budget management actually looks like. Then part three, we're going to break down some practical steps to get there. So stay tuned on this path forward with us on IT budget and cost transparency.